Okay, so I have House Representative Phil Lyman in District 73. Is that right, Phil?
That's right.
Okay, so tell us, Phil. Tell us your thoughts about what just happened last night at 9 p.m. on Sunday evening.
I believe it was 9:30 p.m. But yeah, I mean the governor's executive order. I guess maybe 9 o'clock is when the Amber Alert goes off, and everybody's phones are buzzing and computers are buzzing, and then announcing that at 9:30 the governor's making an announcement, and he gets on and makes declares an executive order with all these various mandates, including mandatory testing for college age kids and anyone that wants to participate in extracurricular activities at high school, and a bunch of other things that just kind of made your head spin. At least they made my head spin.
That's right. And okay, so let people know when they think of laws and mandates. Can you try to just let the typical person who's just trying to live their life, not into politics, what does this mean?
Well, I mean, a mandate. I guess it comes back to this idea of consent. We believe in government by consent of the people, and I always ask people, is it the consent of the governed, or is it the authority that's an 800-pound gorilla? And when an 800-pound gorilla is in the room, you do what you're told, and that's kind of what the governor was saying: is we're going to fine you $10,000 if you don't do this, and we don't want to talk about it anymore. We just want you to do it. So I guess you would say that's a mandate because it doesn't have the authority of law, hasn't gone through the process, but it does have the authority of the governor and the state health department, and if you want to defy it, people will show up ultimately with guns, and that's a lot of power, even if it's whether it's legitimate or not. It's a lot of power, a lot of authority.
So doesn't it depend on, like when you say guns, obviously you're talking about a police agency. So doesn't it matter where you actually live? Because if it's Salt Lake City, I can imagine them coming in. But if it's Iron County, so can you help understand that? Because the health department, they don't have guns, right? So help the listeners understand that.
Yeah, I don't know if at the state health department, it wouldn't surprise me if they have some enforcement officers at this point. I mean, years ago, BLM didn't have guns, Forest Service didn't have guns. Now they have guns and bulletproof vests and, jack boots and the whole thing. But so I know right now at the county level, if somebody wanted to come in with guns to shut down your business, it would have to be the sheriff, and that's not likely to happen in any county that I know of. But the other side of this, though, is the fine, a $10,000 fine, and that is the health department that can issue a citation with a $10,000 fine. You say, well, I'm not going to pay it, and then you have to say, well, what are the recourses there? Will they put a judgment against you? Will they put a lien against you? Will they start a collection process?
And sorry to cut you off, but what if you were at a rally in a free speech zone, say the Capitol? The health department now, they now have the authority to just fine whoever is at a rally, right? I mean, these are the questions that we need to understand, because it's almost like Governor Herbert's just making rules up as he goes.
Yeah, well, and I don't know if they could go and fine each person at the rally, but they could fine you if you were the one that organized it or promoted it, or they could fine me if I put it on Facebook. Or I liked I've been through this with my own federal case, and yeah, conspiracy is liking someone's Facebook page or sharing it, and you become an organizer. And under the language that I heard, and I haven't, delved into everything, but under the language that I heard the governor speak, yeah, organizer is a pretty broad term, and there could be a lot of organizers to an event like the one you just described.
So then how is he going to hold himself accountable to parties that he goes to from here on out?
Well, that's the beauty of being a bureaucrat, is you make rules that you yourself don't have to adhere to. I don't know what to It's insidious. I guess that's the word of the week that I've come up with, is insidious, which is it looks benign on the face of it, but it has grave consequences, and And that's kind of like this. It's kind of like this mask thing. It's like, oh, well, what's the big deal? Just wear a mask. It's not a big deal. But if you look at it, it's like we're giving up our freedom. We're giving up everything that America stands for, and doing it by an executive order, which is contrary to. It's just contrary to who we are as Americans. We don't do it that way. You know, if Governor Herbert wanted to have come out and say, hey, you know, I'm worried, and legitimately so, and I hope that, you know, those who are at high risk will do this and this, and, you know, we care about everybody in this state, and, you know, just be aware of your neighbor. I don't know, something to that effect. I think he could have gained the hearts and minds of the people. But when you say, and we're not going to talk about this anymore, you know, this is what's happening, and if you don't do it, it's $10,000 fine. I mean, hopefully, every red-blooded American says, you know, we don't play that. We don't play that way. That's not the way it works, Governor. So
what are you doing? So what are you doing right now in your position as a House representative for the state of Utah? What are you doing this very moment? What are you planning?
Well, I called for the leadership to call a special session, and let's have a vote on this. Which I don't know. It again, that's one of those things. It doesn't seem to have a lot of teeth, but it kind of does. It has a lot of implications, and it'll make a lot of people really nervous and upset because they don't want to take a position. So yeah, it's not a popular thing to do, to kind of demand a special session. But
why do you think that is, that a lot of representatives and senators in Utah won't? Why do you think it is?
Well, you know, and in the House of Representatives, which is 75 people, 66 or 67 of those people don't know what a rural county even is. They don't have them in their district. And so they're up on the Wasatch Front, and they're having a lot of pressure. It's a very blue territory up there, and if they make people mad, they won't get elected. And I think, well, if you're a state legislator, number one, if you don't get elected, that's not the worst thing in the world. And number two, if you don't want to legislate, then why run for the office? You know, just either legislate and do what you think is right and let the consequences follow, or let somebody else in there that wants to legislate. So, but again, I don't disrespect my fellow legislators, and I don't know, just like they probably don't relate to some of the challenges that I face down in my district, I probably don't fully relate to theirs. I just have to come back in all these situations. You come back to the contract you signed, which you raised your arm to the square to protect, and that's the Constitution, which says that, you know, we allow people to be protected in their private effects in their homes, and freedom to assemble, and all those things that seem problematic for the governor.
Well, thank you so much. Thanks for coming on and taking the time to explain. It's going to be really interesting. You know, they say 2 weeks to slow the spread, 2 weeks to do this. Now we got another 2 weeks of this, and until people start waking up and standing up, I just don't know when this is going to be over. I fear that it's going to take, in order for it to really to wake up, especially the people of Utah, their food supply is going to have to get messed with, their internet or their news, and the couch is going to have to be removed from underneath them. And then all of a sudden, but by that time, it's going to be too late. And so I just want to thank you, number one, for being who you are in the position that you hold, because there's only a handful of elected representatives in Utah that I've seen that are willing to even, number one, say anything, but number two, actually do anything. But you've been to most of our rallies. You've been very vocal, and I just want to thank you, Phil Lyman, for being the person that you are, and for standing up for the things that you believe in.
Well, thanks, Eric. And you know, you're the one that my hat is off to. You know, a citizen who will just step out because they feel it is. That's a lot of power, and people don't realize how much power they have as one person who is willing to say, no, I'm not going to do it. That's a lot of power. I left my house the other morning. It's kind of funny. it just hit me. My automatic sprinklers were going. My dishwasher was on. I turned on my little Roomba vacuum cleaner, was in doing the vacuuming, and hot water heaters going, and I thought, my pioneer ancestors would have rolled over in their graves to see how easy we have life. And this is certainly a first world problem that we're talking about, having to wear a mask, but you hit the nail on the head. We're talking about our freedoms here, and people are so willing to give those up because they do have a soft cash, they do have internet, they do have Netflix. Yeah, we have it so easy, and I think at some point we're gonna have our metal tested, and it might be sooner rather than later.
Well, thank you again, Phil, and I'll check back in probably in a few days, and we'll have some updates for everyone.
Well, keep up the fight, brother. I appreciate you.
All right. Thanks, Phil.
Thank you, Eric. See you.
Yeah, have a good one.
You too. Bye.